Hello and welcome to Beer Club. I'm Luke and this week we are drinking a beer from 8 Wide, Gesundheit. This is Beer Jerk and it is the Beer of the Week club where every week we discover a brand new beer and the story behind it. And we never drink the same beer twice. So it's been just about 11 years now we've been doing this. So we've got through many fantastic beers. Prost. And I was just having a look to see previous Kolsches that we've had as part of Beer Club. And there haven't been that many. There was a great one from Badass, rest in peace, a small beer brand that really had a focus on German beer styles that I loved. Years ago we had a Kolsch from Abbey Brewing, there was one from Matter, one from Eddie Line, but there also aren't that many Kolsches around in New Zealand. There was a bit of a trend last summer with a handful of brewers did do Kolsches and some were keg-only releases. And they weren't good. I don't know if... there's the whole thing around when hazy IPAs came about and brewers started making them, but it was clear which brewers had never tried a hazy IPA, and it's quite a strange thing to have to make something if you've never actually tried one, to try and do anything, to make a souffle if you've never eaten one before, you've just read about it in a book. So yeah, I don't know if there was some kind of, a few brewers had drank a beer that called itself a Kolsch that was very different. Or there was a yeast company that was selling Kolsch yeast that was actually like Wits yeast or something. But anyway, there were definitely a couple of brewers that released beers they called Kolsch that were just really, they taste like a saison, really yeast forward and sort of estery. And anyway, Kolsch is a fantastic style. I'd love to see more of it. Kolsch is just the epitome of beer, which sounds really weird to say, but for me, the experience of drinking Kolsch, the taste of Kolsch is just, it's beer kind of in its purest form, really. I feel like it's just such a, you've got, of course, lagers and pilsners, which definitely would be vying for that crown of what people think of when they think of beer, but there's just a crispness to a lager and a dryness, and then a pilsner has, you've got your noble hop character and bitterness. Obviously, things like pale ales and IPAs are a whole different world, but Kolsch is just, it's a beer that when it's good, you just inhale it. It's clean, it's dry, it's got like a bit of breadiness to it. It's Pilsner malt, it's an ale yeast. Fly floating in mine. Even the insects think this is a delicious beer. It's a beer that came about in its current form about 100 years ago in the city of Köln, or as we call it in English, Cologne. So Kolsch, of course, just means from Cologne in German. And it was a beer that came about to compete with those pilsners and lagers. The local brewers decided to fight back against this onslaught of lagers that were taking over the whole world, and they really honed and refined their own style, which is an ale. And so it's basically, for brewers, it's a really easy drinking ale. It is top fermented. It is made with an ale yeast, but it's really light malts in there, these lovely light Pilsner malts. And it is cold conditioned, so you have got that clarity of flavour and that crispness, but you've got a bit more body to it, it's a bit more sort of rounded. It is the ideal pub beer, really. It's a beer designed to be drunk at volume. And as is always the way with these really clean, classic beers, there's nothing to hide behind. There's no room for any kind of brewing faults in there. It's got to be absolute perfection. And Kolsch is absolutely a beer that is best drunk very fresh as well, and freshness is a bit of an obsession in Cologne. And the experience of drinking Kolsch in Cologne is like nothing else. It is a real culture there. There's you go to a brewery or a bar that sells Kolsch. You have a Kurber, which is the name of a Kolsch waiter, and invariably they are gentlemen of a certain age who are very smartly dressed. And they carry around a ring, a Krause, of which is holding about 10 small glasses of Kolsch, which are served in a Stange, which means pipe in German. So these 200 milliliter tube-shaped glasses. And the idea behind that is that your beer never gets old. It's always freshly poured, and you've always got a fresh glass. And the Kurbers just go around and they are constantly replenishing your glass, and it's just so delicious that you often just inhale it in 2 gulps. And before you know it, these incredible waiters have taken your empty glass away and they've replaced it, and they've marked a little line on your beer mat. And that is how it is kept a tally of and how you pay. So when you've had your fill of Kolsch, you take your beer mat, you put it on the top of your glass, which signifies, don't give me any more, please. And the waiter comes over and he counts the tally and he charged you for 12 glasses of Kolsch, or however many you have partaken of in that session. And there's a rivalry between Cologne and Düsseldorf, the neighbouring city, which I just think is wonderful. They have Altbier there, which is of course old beer, which is a bit of a darker style, more of a malty style, which is also excellent, different style. Talking of breweries that are no longer with us, the incredible Zeeland brewery released a pair of beers called Frenemy, which had some really cool label design. It was sort of like the Queen playing cards, and it was one was upside down. It was a twin release of a Kolsch and an Altbier, which is a really clever pairing of releases. And yeah, that is the semi-serious thing, the rivalry. Of course, it is. It's not taken too seriously. But if you ask the Kurber for an Altbier, who would definitely give you strong opinions on where they sit with the styles. And when I was last in Cologne, just reveling in these the wonderful beers, and it's all about having consistency and it being the same. It's sort of the opposite to what we think of as the modern craft approach to making beer, where it's all about experimentation and trialing new things. It is absolutely honing your style and having complete accuracy, and there are very much differences between different Kolsches, of course, but they're all very similar. You know, nobody's putting peanut butter in there and nobody's sticking loads of mosaic hops in there. There definitely is a strict set of guidelines that you must conform to. And yeah, I had a great conversation with a lovely German couple when I was drinking Kolsch last time I was in Cologne, and the girl was from Cologne and talking about how it was part of her history and part of her identity. Even though, she wasn't like she was a 60-year-old, she was probably in her late 20s, but this thing that is a sense of place, a sense of identity, and her boyfriend, I think he was from Kreuznach, and he was like, yeah, we in Kreuznach, we drink like Helles or Pilsner or Weissbier, we don't care too much. And the girl said, yeah, that is because you have no culture, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. And it's lovely when beer means something, and Kolsch is a regionally protected style in Europe, like Champagne or Stilton. Of course, we here are not in Europe, so brewers absolutely can write Kolsch on their cans with no punishment whatsoever. So this beer from 8 Wired is very, very good. 8 Wired do everything well. They are a champion brewery many times over with very good reason. They're constantly winning trophies and medals and awards. A few years ago, they brewed the champion beer in the New World Beer and Cider Awards, So that was the very Desperate Glory that they made in collaboration with yours truly, Small Gods, myself and Matt, which was a really fantastic Flanders Ode Brewing. And I love their barrel-aged beers, their wild ferment beers, and their traditional European styles. So yeah, of course it is their pale ales and their IPAs that sell volume, but the 8Y beers that I get excited about definitely are when I hear that they've released a Burton Ale or a barley wine or a Goza, and yeah, this Kolsch got released, and I knew we definitely had to include it in the boxes to share with you wonderful people. And yeah, Gesundheit, of course, means health. So it does not mean cheers. That's Prost in German. But Gesundheit is what you say to somebody when they sneeze. So they're similar to, well, the same as bless you. So great beer, great brewery, great people. Thank you for joining us for yet another Beer Club beer. We will see you next time. Prost.